or welcome back to my channel unless you are new here. I am Charlie and today I'm going to be giving you my best dissertation advice. I say that with like a little pinch of salt because obviously this is like my personal opinion of how my experience with writing a dissertation went. Obviously this is different for literally everybody, it depends on what you write about, depends on your course, especially I would say what university you go to, like their kind of rules around and like guidelines of dissertation, and also just you as a person and your writing ability, and also just like the effort you put in yourself. But either way, this is my advice, so take it with a pinch of salt. I cannot guarantee you a top grade because I just can't. To put it simply, I just can't. I feel okay with giving you this advice because I did get a 2-1, a high 2-1 in my dissertation when I wrote it last year. Anyway, let's get into it. I have a bit of a structure for this video. I need to refer to my notes because there's a lot to talk about. So I'm going to talk about how it works at my university, which is Falmouth University. I'm going to talk about choosing your topic, how I chose my topics or what went into that, structuring your time, and writing. And if you're a photography student, I've got a few book recommendations for you, so that's good. So at Falmouth it works that in your second year you do a module towards the end of the year. It's like research and preparation module, I think is what they call it, or something like that. And basically you are going to write a dissertation proposal, which consists of basically 3 essays that are like sub-categories to a main topic. I would pick 3 topics that you are interested in learning more about, things that you want to research, and then try and link those 3 things to a broader subject, but use that to build an understanding of and like research around what you might like to look into further. And then what happens is you hand that proposal in, they mark it and give you some feedback on like areas that they think would suit you to continue researching in. They also pair you with a supervisor, so somebody that knows the topics that you're going to be writing about really well. And then they send you away on your summer holiday, and that's when you're really supposed to do like the bulk of your like research and start writing really. I didn't, but we'll get to that in a bit. And then what happens is you then come back in September, like October time, and you have a draft hand in, and then the deadline was towards the end of November. So it's actually really nice because you get it out of the way right at the beginning of the year instead of stressing about it with like the final deadlines at the end of the year. When it comes to deciding a topic, pick something that interests you. I cannot stress enough how important it is to choose something you are actually interested in. I didn't really know when I was in that proposal writing stage what I wanted to write about. At the time I was photographing quite abstract photography, so I was like, I'll just go along that route because I might continue that. But if I'm being honest, I really couldn't get into that as a subject. I found it interesting, yes, but I was just not quite like there in interest level. So I wouldn't just think about what interests you within photography. Think about what interests you in the entire world. Like, there are so many things out there that you could link your dissertation to. One just popped into my head. I was thinking like, oh, I really like surfing. So why not look at surf photography and how maybe that influences like the culture? That's something that you can look at with literally anything. That's not what I wrote my dissertation about, but I kind of wish I had. That would have been really interesting to look at. I honestly wish I had looked into it more and done more of that beginning stage when I was like, I had the time to, instead of when I was like stressed in the library trying to do it. I would really use the summer wisely. So if I'm uploading this now, you've got a month or two, because September, like, you're not quite back at uni at the beginning of September or whatever. So use that time really wisely and get to grips with what it is you really want to be researching about, because I can guarantee you it will probably change again. I think I wrote like 3 starts of like bits of dissertation. So when it came to choosing my topic, as I said, I started off really trying to focus on abstract photography, and I realised that just really wasn't interesting to me in like enough to, I just couldn't find enough research basically. I just was like, none of this is interesting, I'm not really bothered about this. But one element of it that did interest me was indexicality. Now I don't want to get into like full-on photography dissertation writing in this video in case some of you aren't interested in that, but basically that was one area of photography that I was like, yeah, I could write about that. But obviously you don't want it to be, this is what's really annoying about supervisors, they're like, oh, that's such a broad topic, make it narrower, and then you make it narrow and they're like, oh, but you need to like think about it in a wider context, and you're like, yeah, but I just narrowed it down, so now you want me to like broaden it out again, this just doesn't work. But either way, obviously that is a big topic, there is a lot to talk about, so I decided to link my dissertation to like photography to social media, and I wrote about Instagram and selfies for my entire dissertation. I cannot tell you how many times I wrote Instagram and selfie in my dissertation. I wish I could. I might have to have a look and try and find that out, because I think it was rather ridiculous. But I hadn't really come to this realisation until I would say about a week before the first draft deadline, which is not a good idea. But I have to say, I think a lot of us on our course were in the same position. So if you do get to that point of being like really stressed, just remember that probably everybody is actually kind of around about the same place you are. But one thing I would not do, don't ask people where they're at with their writing. I mean, ask them how it's going or whatever if you're generally interested, but if you're feeling stressed about yourself, don't ask other people where they are at with theirs, because it will just stress you out more that other people are doing a lot better than it seems, or than you. Just don't go there. It doesn't matter. Just stick down on your path. You'll do all right. Structuring your time. I would say you definitely need to be getting stuff done over the summer and just start writing. I didn't do this because I really like to get a lot of research done before and like plan before I come to any point of like starting something. But actually I realised once I started writing that my thoughts actually changed throughout. And so if you just start writing and getting your ideas down into actual sentences, and you realise that you actually can just build an argument and your thoughts just sort of come together as you're writing, and then you can always go back to bits and change them. So yeah, definitely just start. It's the easiest thing. Even if it's just like, I really like this. Just like try. If you've got an idea for like some sort of argument that you want to write within your work, or just any kind of point you want to make, just make it a sentence. Just do it now. I would honestly, trust me, you will have so many documents that are like draft 1, draft 2, draft 3, draft 4, the list goes on. Honestly, just start writing. Make yourself a plan. I really like to structure like my whole writing in a plan, like a table, and then have like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, or like each point within it, and then like a paragraph, like a column for like the quotes I want to put in that link to certain things. I just like to be really organised that way. If that also works for you, do that. It was really nice to actually have that like printed out next to me, and then I could like highlight bits that I'd written or like add bits in, and then you can just go back to it when you're like writing. So good. Or do it on the computer. I think I actually did that, and I had 2 documents open at once, so you had like the structure of what you were doing and then like actually writing. That saves a lot of time, I think. And also you can almost write it in the table, and then like when you're coming to write it out again, it's all just there for you, and you're just like transferring it back and forth. It makes things so much easier, trust me. When it comes to actually writing and like structuring your time, honestly, you just have to go with what's best for you. If you find it easiest to concentrate at 2 a.m, write your dissertation at 2 a.m. Like, if that's what's going to work for you, just do that. And I would say just don't beat yourself up about not doing things, but if you are getting to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I really need to focus, I have an app recommendation for you. It's called Self-Control, and it's a really creepy like ace symbol with a skull in it. But if you download that to, I've got it on my Mac, so I don't know if it works for Android, it probably does though, or you can find something similar. It basically allows you to block websites. So I would block Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, like everything. I would turn my phone off, put it in my bag. Actually, I wouldn't. I would keep my phone on, but only because I needed like some connection to the outside world. But you can also on your phone block apps. And that way it also sets you a timer, so you can only open those apps again after the timer has like finished. So I would set myself 45 minutes on the timer, and then it would block those apps, and then you can just write and you can get on with it. And then when the timer is up, it'll like I think it just stops, it doesn't ping or anything, and then you know I've just spent that 45 minutes solidly writing, and then you can spend some time like relaxing, eating your lunch, and then go back to it and do it again. That actually really helped me in just like focusing and actually getting things done. Also gonna say, under like structuring your time, reward yourself. I would take snacks to the library, and it depends if you're food orientated in your brain, but it felt good to reward myself for going to the library by taking a chocolate bar, or a nice packet of crisps, a fizzy drink. Even if you don't eat them then in the library, just knowing you've got them at some point if you wanted it. It helps. I don't know why, but it does. It really does. Or if you want to reward yourself by saying, I'm going to do this writing and then I can go home and watch Netflix, that's fine too. I would also get comfortable in the library. Oh my god, I cannot say that enough. Be comfortable. I wore some questionable outfits to the library. And I don't know what people are like about taking their shoes off, but I cannot sit with shoes on. I have to take my shoes off. That might be really gross, but I didn't have bare feet or anything. That's weird, but yeah, just feels comfier. I kind of already have gone into my like writing tips there, but I more in focus with actual writing. Don't start with the introduction. Don't start with the introduction. Just don't do it. Start right bang in the middle. Actually, like I was saying before, just start with any thoughts you possibly have about any subjects. Even if it's just like making the plan to begin with. But I'm going to tell you now, write the introduction at the end. You can't talk about what you're going to be writing about until you actually know what you've written about. And I'm pretty sure your supervisors will say the same. It just doesn't work the other way around. And I know it makes no sense, but that's just like the easiest way to do it. I found it easiest to start with the bit that was most clear to me. I knew there was one thing I really wanted to get into the writing, and I kind of just structured everything else around that chapter. So start where fits to you. Should have said this at the beginning, but our dissertations didn't have all that kind of like primary research, like questionnaire type stuff. Like we didn't have to collect any data or write about any data and that kind of thing unless you wanted to. So that's kind of where creative dissertations differ to more academic ones. Oh, change your location. I wrote most of my dissertation literally sat at the same table in the library. Now, I felt comfortable sitting there, but I don't know if I actually got most of the work done there. I would, if I got bored of there, I would then go home, sit on the sofa and do some writing, at the kitchen table, in bed, literally wherever you have a thought, just do it. If you feel like you're easiest working like sat in a cafe, do that. Just change it up though as well. That's the best thing to do, is that I find that my like ideas change as I'm like in different places, you know? You just, it influences your thinking. Oh, for the photography people, writing a photography essay, and this probably counts for other creative subjects, but with photography especially, images. You are writing about photography, therefore you need to be referencing actual photos and including them in the text. That's what one of our supervisors was saying, is that some people previous years had used like 2 photos, and they're like, come on, this is photography, you need to be writing about photographs. So I used, I think, 13, and you actually put them into the text as well. They need to see the photos. So yeah, use loads, literally, like 13 is a lot. And sometimes I would add like 2 to display a point or whatever. But also, like, you're writing about photographs, so you're going to be comparing things as well. So yeah, don't forget the images. I know it sounds silly, but I kind of did a bit at some points. Don't forget to take a break. Stretch your legs, go for a walk, come back, or don't. Make sure you are actually giving yourself time away from writing your dissertation to focus on something else that's not the dissertation. So we were writing our dissertation whilst doing another project along the side. So make sure you're giving both things equal time. Don't forget to be writing down all of your sources and references for everything that you are looking at, because you will regret it if you come to the end and you haven't. I luckily, pretty sure I did this. I just kept a separate Word document that was just lists of book titles, authors, and actual references, or use a reference manager. There are loads. I think specific universities have ones that work like alongside their library system, so actually it was really useful. Like on our library page, you just search the book and then you can click like create citation and it creates your reference for you, and then you can just copy and paste that into the document. That was really helpful. I think that's all of the advice I have for you guys. Hopefully that was helpful. For the photographers out there, I've got some photographers and photography writers that you need to make sure you check out, because they most probably have writing that references literally anything that you could possibly be writing about. And I know for a fact that their references that my supervisors would have been looking for specifically to make sure were in the dissertation. First one being Susan Sontag. She is literally the queen when it comes to anything you're writing about. So on photography and regarding the pain of others, 2 books you definitely need to read. They are not big books either, so they're pretty good reads. I can't say I've read them both fully, but I've read enough of them to understand where it linked to my own writing, and just make sure she's in there. I think I got to like the day before the hand-in and realised I had not referenced Susan Sontag, and I was like, okay, I need to find somewhere to put her in, because otherwise I'm not going to do very well. So yes, definitely Susan Sontag. Stephen Bull, he has a book called Photography. That's an easy one. He basically writes about every topic that you could be writing about. So, and that book is like the Bible. I think it is great for just understanding topics and researching things. like if you just want to see whether something is of interest to you and you want to be writing about it, I would read this book, or just have a flick through to see if there are any topics that you'd feel like you could write about. Pretty sure there is even a section in the back of the book that's like questions, so you could even use that to come up with a topic idea and use that like question. Rephrase it a little bit, don't steal it, but could be helpful. I think that's that book. If it's not, it's another one. But yeah, recommend that book. Roland Barthes? You know who I'm talking about, right? Camera Lucida. Is that even how you say it? I literally have never said these names out loud before. It's a good book. He writes quite easily, I would say. I found it okay to like depict what he was writing about. I just think that book, and there's another one of his, they're gonna have things that you can use in literally anything with photography. So another good one to check out. And my last one is Liz Wells, and she has a book called Photography, A Critical Introduction. I think she also has lots in that, like the Stephen Bull book. I'm pretty sure this book is also like a chunky boy. So I would say it's definitely a good one to look at for ideas, and possibly she talks about something that you are going to be reading, researching. So yes, those are my recommendations. There's another one that I can't currently think of and it's really bugging me, but if you want some more book recommendations, let me know in the comments below. I am happy to give them to you. So yeah, I'm hoping I did okay with this video. I'm not really sure. I feel a bit doubting of myself that my advice is decent. Yeah. If you have any questions about writing a dissertation, let me know in the comments, because I'm happy to try and help you. If you have any more questions like photography related about dissertation writing, let me know, because again, I'm happy to help, or try my best to. Yeah, as I say, take my words with a tiny bit of salt, because it's just how it went for me. It's not gonna be the same for everybody else. That's why I've tried not to talk about my experience too much. Anyway, I hope if you are watching this and you've got this far, that your dissertation is going okay. You can do this. I believe in you. And yeah, I'll see you in a new video very soon. Bye. You've got this. You can do it. I believe in you.